So, Zion, how are you doing, my friend?
I could be better. Yeah, I just broke my finger 3 days ago, so I'm kind of sitting out from the mat and all my professional athletics right now.
Wow.
So I'm just kind of focusing on the other aspects of what I do for a job.
Right. So, are you trying a little rehab work for your finger? How does it work to allow that to heal?
I got the bone has to heal together first.
Oh, wow. Well, look, Zion, thank you very much for your time. Very much appreciate it. I'm totally inspired by you because most people in life they just don't appreciate basic stuff that they have. And a little background about myself is I actually grew up in poverty and I had a alcoholic abusive father. And it was a bit tough as a child growing up. But I used that as strength for me when growing up. And I've always looked back and seen where I came from, and it's allowed me to be strong. And I always think to myself, it doesn't matter what I go through in life, there's always other people in life that is going through a lot more. When I came across your story and then looked at your page, I was like, wow. So you have a, is it a condition you was born with? I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. Is it cordial regression syndrome? Is it called?
Very close. It's caudal regression syndrome.
Okay, caudal. Okay. Caudal regression syndrome. So that is where half of your body is missing. What is it exactly? What does it mean?
So in my case, there's different levels to it, but in my case, I have like the bottom part of my spine missing. And then, but like I have enough to where I could still be a wrestler and fight and everything that I do. But on top of that, I had deformities with my legs. But that's the reason I have this condition is because my birth mother during her pregnancy, she was on every party drug imaginable.
Right. Okay. She was on party drugs and that's what caused the condition. So was you literally born with no legs, or did it have to be amputated? How did that?
So I was born with no legs.
Right.
Because my birth mother, she was doing crack, she was snorting coke, she was on Molly, she was on meth, she was on everything, and so that's what caused me to be born this way. And plus, when I was born, I was addicted to a lot of those drugs right off the bat.
Right. And how did you discover that you was addicted to it straight away? Was you just
Well, all the doctor reports and everything said that I had what's it called when a baby's born with like addiction. I'm trying to think of I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
I know where.
But like when the mother does a ton of drugs or drinks alcohol, the baby becomes dependent on those drugs. So then after when it's born, uh, it'll go through like this stage where like this baby sometimes they'll die because they're so dependent on it,
Mm.
and or the life will just be harder. They'll be born with deformities. In my case, I was born addicted and I was born with caudal regression syndrome. So you can imagine how that made life for me.
Yeah, for real. So was it a case of where the doctors needed to, I don't know, administer small doses of some of those drugs to keep you alive?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know I had to have surgeries right after birth to keep me alive, though,
Yeah.
on my spine and on my abdomen.
Was you born prematurely?
Yeah, I was born about a month early.
Right. So when you was born, your birth mother put you into foster care.
She didn't put me in a foster care. They took me from her because she was completely unfit. At the time, she was in the process of going to jail. So she gave birth and then she went to prison.
Right. Okay. So how long were you in foster care before you finally got adopted?
For the first 17 years of my life, man, it was a long process.
Wow. What was it like living in foster care? Like what 17 years. Take me through it. Take me through like 17 years. That's you must have went through a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's almost 20 years, man. And think about it, I'm only 24. All this stopped about 6 years ago. Just about
That's wild.
7 years ago, actually, to think of it, because I'm 24 now. So it hasn't even been that long, if I really think about it, since I was in the system. And the first 17 years of my life, I just dealt with a lot of abuse, whether it was mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. It was just, I was very damaged and traumatized, transferring from each home. And it sucks when like a family says that they're going to be your forever family, and then next thing you know, just because you make one small mistake as a child, they just kick you out and get rid of you or beat the crap out of you, or do both.
Wow. So how does a foster parent just kick you out though? Like, how does that work? Aren't they supposed to take?
They'll call the foster care agency and be like, "We need an emergency removal." Even if it wasn't really an emergency, if they were done, they would be done.
How
And
many?
it's kind of messed up how you could treat a kid like that, like it's a like property. You use it and then you get tired of it, so then you get rid of it.
That's wild. That is wild. I remember touring in India, and it's said that in many cultures there, if they don't have a firstborn as a son, then they will literally put the child in the dustbin or trash can, as you would say, and they're fine with that. Not a boy, okay, trash can. I'm thinking, how does a human being do that? To a child.
Exactly. To me, they aren't human beings; they're monsters, and I really mean that. Man, just I feel like nobody should be a parent if you're not willing to make those sacrifices to raise a child. And in my case, man, I obviously I don't have legs, and that made living a little harder as I was developing and learning how to be independent. And they would just be so impatient because one, I'd probably be moving too slow, or sometimes I wouldn't be able to do certain things, and they would just be expecting me to do everything. And as a kid, I was still figuring life out.
Yeah, yeah. We'll come to that bit about I guess getting about like the way you are. But I want to know, when did you learn that your foster parents were not your parents, your biological parents? Because I'm sure when you're really young, as far as you're concerned, these are my parents, right? Like, how did you discover that you were in foster care?
So about like my second home I went to, they just flat out told me.
Right.
And when I was like a toddler, they would always tell me like, "We're not your family, but we're gonna be your new family." And
sorry.
And like at the time, that would be comforting. But then they would switch it up. They put on a show for the caseworkers and for all the checkups and all the therapy sessions. But as soon as you leave that, or as soon as the therapist leaves, or as soon as the caseworker leaves, everything goes back to how bad it usually gets.
Oh, wow. Did you have any foster parents that you particularly liked? How many did you have, and were there any that you really liked?
I went through about 10 different homes.
Wow. Okay.
And there was only about 2 that I liked, so, like, out of all of them. And the reason I got removed from those houses is just because there would always be like problems with other kids. With me, I would get bullied. I would just get picked on. And yeah, dude, it just wasn't ideal for me at all.
Is that how you discovered you were different? Like, as you were growing up, when did you notice that you were different from others? Was it from the bullying, or when you were looking at others and looking at yourself? How did you know?
I mean, I feel like I always knew that I was different. Uh, because like, when you're 3 feet tall and well, at the time when I was a kid, I was like 2 feet tall. But when you're like 3 feet tall, man, it kind of becomes obvious from the get-go that you're different from everybody else when you're looking up to talk to everybody.
Mm, right, right. What about wrestling? So when did you discover that wrestling was something that you wanted to do?
I think about that. I was in second grade, man. I was 7 years
Wow.
old. And my art teacher at the time, he was the head wrestling coach. And he had just given me a flyer and was like, "Hey, I think you should try this. I think you'd have a lot of fun." So I took it home to my foster mom at the time. And, this lady was horrible to me. She had broken my nose. She had done a whole bunch of things to me and covered it up. And, I was scared to ask her. And I asked her and she said, "Yeah." And she took me there, dropped me off, didn't even stay for the practice. But you know what? I didn't care because I had the best time of my life.
Wow. I mean, obviously, when it comes to wrestling, yeah, I'm used to seeing people with legs. How did it work for you? Like, how did you manage to fit in with, yeah, regular wrestlers? Like, were there certain conditions they had to set themselves up for to wrestle with you, or how did it work out?
So that's the cool part. I just wrestled able-bodied people since the beginning. And there was never any special rules or anything to set me up to make it easier. I had to figure it out on how, like, all right, these guys are way bigger than me. How am I going to knock them down a notch? And for the next 10 years, I really just worked on that, and I lost all the time. And then for some reason, something clicked. And by the time when I got to my senior year of high school, I went from being like the worst wrestler in the state to one of the best wrestlers in the state. And then soon after, one of the best wrestlers in the country.
Wow. That's so cool. That is so cool. Amazing. So you obviously keep in shape. I mean, I've looked at your pics and you're looking pretty lean. Um, what does a typical training week look like for you to keep in such great shape?
Well, when my finger's not broken, I I hit the gym every morning. Then I go to practice. I'll probably train on the mat or in the cage 1 or 2 times a day. And then I'll also work with, you ever heard of anybody named the Mitt Queen?
No, no.
So she is one of the best mitt workers for boxing and fighting in general. I would say in the country. She works with like John Jones and some of the best, most decorated UFC fighters in the world. You know who Ryan Garcia is, right?
Yeah.
She trains him too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so then I'll go see her once or twice a week, get some extra work in, and I'm trying to really perfect my mastery as my skill as a martial artist. I'm working on a contract right now to get into. I can't say it because they don't want me to say it yet, but this one fight league, it's one of the biggest ones out there, wants me to be in there with them and see what I can do, put on a show. Because like I've created my own technique of fighting and striking and takedowns and ground and pound and submissions. I've been labeled a genius for what I've been able to figure out, because it's hard to create your own style of martial art, especially from scratch. Martial arts have been part of just our human race since, we figured out how to fight each one another thousands of years ago. It's part of us being human, learning how to fight and learning how to use our bodies to our advantage. And it's no different for me. Just in my case, I had to start from scratch and figure out like, okay, what works? How is my body going to move to get to his leg? How am I going to swing my arms up to punch somebody in the face when they're standing all the way up? Like just things like that. And then I just would train it. I still train it. over and over and over and over and over again. Because you know what, I want this. You know, I want to be that biggest dog. I want to be the most dangerous man on the planet, just so I can say that I'm the most dangerous man on the planet. You know, and I just, like I said, I develop my own skill and I work on it constantly. And that's why I train so much. That's why I'm in such phenomenal shape, because I have a passion on being the wrestling world champion. I have a passion on being the Paralympic track and field world champion. I have a passion on being a mixed martial arts champion.
Amazing. Do you think you'll be setting a trend for other people in your situation to start wrestling like yourself, or maybe even a separate league for people like you where they can feel, see, they might not feel as optimistic as you, but fighting others, you know, in with a similar body type, if you know what I mean, like, you know, half limbs, that sort of thing. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, that would be definitely cool to me. But for right now, that would be something I would most likely try to do down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I'm at the moment where I'm showing everybody, like, yeah, I'm different, but I can run with the best of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, shoot, you should see how I can take down Rampage Jackson. You should see the work I put in with Platinum Mike Perry. You see the work I put in with Anderson Silva. You know, like, I really work hard. Tony Jeffries, one of the most decorated Olympic boxers ever. You know, and I put in serious work. And these guys, they're not just saying, "Oh, good job." If you ain't doing a good job, they're not going to tell you good job. You know, you're not going to get their respect unless you really go out there and you show out, or you go work with them and you really push your pace and you try to push your limits.
Yeah.
And I've earned the respect of all those men.
That's so awesome, man. That's so awesome. It would be great that others, you know, follow in your footsteps. I mean, but you're a serious guy. It will take some mental work from others to do that. What type of mental strength does it take for you to, to put yourself through these paces? I mean, it can't be easy, you know. It's almost like your training is going to have to be double or triple a regular wrestler, wouldn't you say?
Oh no, and it definitely is. You know, I try to put in twice the amount of work, because you got to think about it. My hands and my arms are my hands and my arms and my legs and my feet all at the same time. And so I had to figure out how I'm gonna, like, take you down, how I'm gonna knock you out, how I'm gonna hit a submission. You know, it's
Yeah.
a lot of people would think that, oh, since he doesn't have legs, he can't fight. All reality, I grew up fighting in the streets when I was growing up, and I would get beat up, and I would learn from that. You know, and then when I finally was able to, like, start training in a gym and start hitting the mats really hard and, like, just really hone in on what I could do, I became a force to be reckoned with.
Awesome.
And that mental state, man, I
mm,
just tell myself, I wake up every morning, man, I was like, all right, no excuses. Go get what's yours. Go get that money. Go get that championship.
yeah.
Go prove people wrong on what you can do.
Do you have a daily mantra?
What do you mean, like daily routine?
Like like a yeah, like a routine where, well, you would maybe look in the mirror and have some sort of uh, where you might have some affirmations, where you might have some, I don't know, some sort of meditation which you go through just to keep your mind in the right place.
So I just think about what my mom tells me all the time. You know, my mom told me this after she got me, and after I won my state championship for track and field in high school. She told me that God would have never took me through troubled waters if he knew I couldn't swim. You know, and I'm swimming right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think every day I wouldn't be here doing what I do if this wasn't my purpose.
Yeah. Do you have any other people in your life who's given you great motivation? whether it's
Oh yeah, my coach is Gil Donahue. My coach out here in California, Antonio McKee. Um, both of those men have really helped me improve everything I've done, whether it's martial arts or just how I live life. You know, Coach Donahue, he was like a father figure to me because like I grew up without a mother and father, and I still don't have a father. You know, and you know, he really stepped into that role and I became really close to his family. And fun fact, Coach Donahue, my high school coach, when I was at a completely different school system, when I got introduced to wrestling, that teacher that gave me the wrestling flyer was his identical twin brother.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And for years, without me even knowing, they were putting their heads together, figuring out how they could help me and how they could improve my skill because they knew that I really wanted to be like them and be like my teammates and my friends.
That's pretty amazing.
And then wait, hold on. And then Coach Antonio, I don't. Have you ever heard of anybody named AJ the Mercenary McKee?
No.
So he is currently world champion right now. He's 19-0. That's Coach Antonio's son. And Coach Tone, he has coached some of the greatest fighters ever. He's coached Chuck Liddell. He's coached Tyrone Woodley. He currently coaches Tyrone Woodley and Rampage Jackson. You know, he's one of those legendary coaches that you don't normally come across. You know what I mean? And he's really when I went out, I was out in the Ellen DeGeneres show, and you know, I linked up with my boy Joey. And backstory on my boy Joey, he wrestled for Notre Dame College of Ohio, and you know, Division II wrestling, and for 4 years straight, 4 national championships, 133 wins, 0 losses. Dude's just a dog. He's 8-0 right now in Bellator, just knocking everybody out. He brought me out to this team, and you know, introduced me to Coach and Kimbo Slice Jr. and everybody. And he was just like, Coach Tone's like, he was straightforward with me. He said, I don't care that you have a Netflix documentary. I don't care that you was just on the Ellen show. I don't care about anything that you do. But if you walk into my gym and you push and you work hard and you show me that you belong here, you're always welcome. And that really hit home with me. So that first day I went in there, you know, I got my butt kicked, dude, because it was my first time training with some of the best athletes in the world. And, you know, he was like, you coming back tomorrow? And I said, yeah. Guess what? I showed up early the next day. And I showed up early the next day after that. And for the next year, I would always be early because I wanted to prove to him that I wanted this. I want to be a fighter. I want to be a top-notch athlete. So with him seeing that I'm really committed, he would work with me before practice, during practice, after practice, would take this time out of his day to really help me improve my skill, even now.
Amazing.
And that was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. And what, he's still there now?
Oh, yeah. He's gangster, man. You know, he's from Long Beach, California. He had a rough life too, so I'm able to talk to him. We're able to make a lot of similarities. He was in the foster care system also, seeing his fair share of shit, you know. And he really understands me and understands what type of drive I have. Just yesterday, he was calling me. You know what I mean? Just seeing how I'm doing because, you know, I was working. I'm working in like Hollywood and I'm acting and stuff now too on top of everything. You know, I have a pretty good knack for that. You know, I'm pretty spot on behind a camera, you know. Okay. But he really sees that I want this, and he's always checking on making sure I'm living life right, making sure I'm not doing anything stupid, making sure like he's literally being a mentor to me.
How old is he?
I don't know, he's 50.
Okay.
I would say.
Are you in a relationship?
Not anymore.
Right. See, one thing I was trying to figure out is like, is it possible to have an intimate relationship Or if not, is it a difficult situation? Is it important to you? Like the whole relationship thing. I'm intrigued. How? So you're not in a relationship now, but you was. How long was that for? And yeah, intimate
Yeah,
side of things.
so I was in a relationship for about 11 months recently.
Okay.
You know, I keep my like that part of my life usually private for the most part because I don't really have much privacy anywhere anymore.
Good.
But you know, I don't think it was working just for the fact that with everything I'm doing, it's just too much. Not too much for me, but for her when I'm traveling, I'm on the road, I'm in video shoots with other women and all this other stuff. You know, it's sometimes I try to tell whenever I date a girl, I try to let her know, like, listen, are you ready for this? Because I live a whole different type of life, you know. And don't get me wrong, like I'm a very faithful guy. When I'm locked down with somebody, man, I'm only about that person. But at the end of the day, if they can't handle it, I can't do it either.
Right. Got you. I hear that. So you're traveling quite a lot, doing. So you're in movies now. Is that what you're saying, or you're filming?
Commercials, movies, shows, man. No matter what it is, I'm always behind the camera now. You know, I get told I'm very photogenic.
That's awesome. And how long you been doing that?
A couple years now. It's starting to get bigger now. Just recently, I can't say what movie it is, but I just got called in for a big role in a big cinematic movie. So it'll be like in theaters and all this cool stuff. But yeah, man, you know, like things are really taking off. Like I'm talking like red carpet, or like all the whole 9 yards.
I noticed there was a post you done. I'm just trying to remember now. Was you in a game or something?
Yeah, I recently just got put into Call of Duty. You actually can try to kill me in Call of Duty as a zombie, and it's extremely difficult because I made this as complex as I possibly could when I was working with Activision Studios. And yeah.
Right, yeah. Please. Sorry. So I wanted to know, how long did it take for you to record these scenes in the game? How did that work?
Just about a whole week, you know, every day, about 10 hours a day each week for a week.
Amazing. That is so cool. Would you be getting royalties on the game, or is it a case of upfront fee? How does that work?
I got paid like an upfront fee with them this time, but I'm actually working on being in a couple other different games right now. I'm actually going to be in 2 to 3 other video games that'll be coming out here in the next year. And yeah, it's just, you know, it's one, it's good money. 2, I'm being in some of my most favorite video games that I play currently. You know, so it's just like it's like living the dream.
It's amazing, man. It is amazing. I hope to be there one day. One day.
Oh, no doubt, man. Do you play Call of Duty at all?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't played games in years. I've been so busy working on different areas of business that if I sit down and play games, I think it would write off my life. When
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that. In my case, like I'm a big video game person. Like, don't get me wrong, I like doing everything that I do, but I love video games too. So it just so happened to be that these companies are like, yo, you want to be in a video game? Do you play video games? Yeah. So
That's tremendous.
keep working with them, man. It's fun.
Amazing. So you got so many people in this world that find issues in themselves. Like, I have a big nose. I'm overweight. I don't know. I'm bald. Just self-sabotaging criticism. And it's not really, I guess people take it like really serious upon themselves.
Yeah, and I feel like people should be more easy on themselves, like, and just be confident in their own body. And if they do have a problem with it, nobody's going to change that problem except for them. And they need to understand that. You know, for example, look at Megan Thee Stallion, man. You know who Megan Thee Stallion is, right?
Megan Thee Stallion. Megan.
She's a rapper, like Megan Thee Stallion.
I don't know. No, I know Megan Fox.
But no, so for example, like Megan Thee Stallion, man, she used to be like a big girl, you know, but she was like, it's like, you know, people would be clowning her for it. And you know what she just said? She probably just gave everybody the middle finger. It's like, listen, you're you and I'm me. I'm happy with me, you know? And, you know, she made some changes for herself for the better, just so she could be happier. And then people need to understand they need to do stuff for themselves, not for other people's approval, but for their own satisfaction.
Yeah. Oh, I always like that. It's something that I often say to people to not listen. Don't listen to the naysayers because they've always got things to say. People have always got complaints to make about you, what they don't like about you, and it's all about building up your own self-confidence. Now, you've obviously been through a lot throughout your entire life, and you might even still go through some stuff now. For people who are trying to build their confidence and need some form of motivation, what would you say would be the best thing for them to build motivation within themselves on a daily basis?
Yeah, man. Well, a lot of people like that to me, man. You know, those are a lot of people I try to target with my speeches too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always try to tell them, like, you got to take it upon yourselves to be the best version of yourself. Nobody is going to make you be the best version of yourself except for you. Yeah, you might, it's nice to have that little push and knowing somebody's there for you, but at the end of the day, you're you. It's all up to you. If you don't go work out and you're just down on yourself, and then you're even more down on yourself because you didn't work out, that's your issue. And that's the problem you need to solve. You need to first start loving yourself. Start appreciate that you're just here on this earth living a good life, you know? And even if you're not living a good life, find things in your life to be appreciative of. And when that starts to happen, you start loving life and loving yourself, you'll find that it's so easy to make the type of progress that you want to make.
Yeah.
For my case, I found that wrestling made me really happy. I found that music made me really happy. So I would focus on that. And guess what? I'm extremely successful because I'm able to be happy, whether I'm doing something, whether I'm not doing something. Like, man, I have a broken finger. I can't do anything right now, but I'm still happy. I'm still just glad to be here. I'm still glad to be who I am.
That's a tremendous outlook. That's incredible. Zion, it's been amazing. I want to thank you very much for your time today. Truly inspirational, fantastic. Everything that you do, you know, being on talk shows, speaking to people. You have you have a video which is on Netflix, as you mentioned a bit earlier, isn't it? Or is it,
Yes,
is it a documentary on Netflix?
Yep, it's a 12-minute documentary called Zion. And even though it's 12 minutes, it's grossed hundreds of millions of views, just because it's that powerful, you know? And the cool part is I've won 2 Emmys for it too.
That's sweet. So cool. Do you have a book as well, which people can buy?
Yeah, so I just released a picture expose. Right now, it's one of the top selling books on Amazon. It's called Zion Unmatched, and you can not only just get it on Amazon, you can go to Indigo, you can get it in almost any bookstore. You can go into a Target, which is like a big store out here, and shop for it. And also, it's in 2 other countries. It's in the UK, and it's also in Canada.
Awesome. All right. What I'll do is I'll put those details in the show notes so people can just click and buy.
Yep, and if you go to my Instagram and you click the LinkedIn link, you'll be able to go straight to my book.
Oh, awesome.
Or you'll be able to go to my merch store or to the Real Deal company that I help run.
Oh, that's brilliant. Do you have any other social media accounts? I know you got Instagram.
Yeah. I'm about to actually, if everybody just waits, like follows my Instagram and waits, I'm about to be making a big announcement because I'm getting verified on almost all my social platforms, but I'm going to make sure I can do that all at once.
Awesome. All right. All right. Wicked. Look, Zion, it's been absolutely incredible. Thank you again so much for your time and this great motivational, just inspiration, you know, just to show us all it is all possible if you really, really are dedicated to your dream and passion and love. You know, just keep going regardless of any kind of setbacks. You've had it all and you've overcome all obstacles that have been in your way. So thank you so much for this inspiration.
No problem, man. It's always a pleasure hopping on a show or hopping on a podcast, getting to share my story. And I hope your audience is really able to take something away from this.
I'm sure they will. Thanks again. You take care, Zion.
Yeah, you take care of yourself too, man. Have a nice one.
You too.